Well, good evening. Good evening. I am so pleased and grateful to be here. You know, I was listening to the speakers before me, and I had to. I just have to tell you how grateful I am that I have people like this on my team. And there are a number of people that are in this room, and you all know who you are, that I am just extremely grateful. Because I get a chance to work with people in a community that is in bad need of community. Southeastern San Diego is southeastern part of San Diego. And I'm a native of southeastern San Diego. I was born and raised there, went to Morris High School, went away to college, came back, raised 3 girls that are about the average age of everyone in here, I might add. And I got a chance to really get involved in what my community is about. So after a career raising some kids, a group of us got together and decided to start the Urban Collaborative Project. And so one of the major benefits of an organization like this is we build community. And I'll tell you what that means for me. That means that we in that community know areas within southeastern San Diego that has been ignored by the city for decades. So as the collaborative started to grow, one of the first projects we took on was healthy access, healthy food access for a lot of the residents. So we've got a Food for Less out there, you guys, and it's right in Market Creek Plaza. And for decades, it was a crazy store. Crazy being the food was not fresh. Crazy being there were security issues. Crazy being there were customer service issues. I'm talking about you get in the line, no matter how many people are in line, and there's 3 checkout counters, so the lines would go all the way back to the meat. You could go in to get a soda, and it would literally take you 30 to 45 minutes. So what this group did, a bunch of residents, haven't been organized before in such a way. We got together. These are residents, you guys. This is true grassroots. These are not special interest people that didn't like Food for Less. This was a group of people that were sick and tired of having a store that we had to go spend our money to in another district to get what we wanted. So we're talking about older folks that haven't had the experiences that Monique has had. It reminded me of the battered woman syndrome. That's just the way it is. Don't ruffle the feathers. This is the way it's been for all along. So we met for a period of 6 months. Within that 6 months, my background is in corporate America, so we sent a certified letter to the president of Kroger's in Cincinnati. Me knowing doggone well what was going to happen is they were going to forward that to the Western Division and then have someone come down. Like clockwork, they did it. Came down, met with us for 6 months, turned it around and wrote a check for $1 million to improve that store. And so what we were able to do certainly is improve the store, but what we were really able to do was to start something in that community that hasn't been active in a very long time, and we created civic engagement. We showed that there was, if we stuck together, if we stayed on task, we could get this done. So we put that one on the good guy side. And then we've always had this corner that some of you may have heard of this corner, and it's on Euclid and Imperial, and it has been historically referred to as the 4 corners of death. How would you like to have I gotta watch my language. How would you like to have a corner, I live around the corner from it, that its claim to fame is the 4 corners of death? So there's been other organizations and that tried to correct the perception. And so what we decided to do was to start adding some life into that corner. This is just a few of the pictures of some of the things we'll get to in a second. But what we wanted to do was to start changing. You want to talk about changing the narrative. So we wanted to put positive things on that corner. And so we started off with jazz music. We had white tablecloths come out, and we had food trucks come in, like in everywhere else in San Diego. And so the idea came up, and I have to tell you, people told us that we were out of our minds because that was such a dangerous corner. And so we started to initiate these Friday sort of programs, and the crowd was getting bigger, and we were starting to notice people driving by, and they were saying, God, what's going on over there? Is that a wedding? Are we invited to go? Now, I want to tell you, the mentality of the community, it's growing and it's changing. However, it was different and unique to see some positive activity going on that corner. So, a friend of mine, Monique, decided to propose a Better Block event. Now, those of you that don't know, a Better Block is a demonstration sort of an activity to show the city and other elected representatives what that corner, in this case, can look like if there was effort invested, if there was money invested. And so we started to look into the possibility of that. Well, I don't know about the rest of my team, but I got to tell you, the more I learned about it, the more I was excited about it, and then the more pissed off I got, because the area we're talking about is this area right here. Now, this is an after area, okay? So we're talking about a place in our community that the sole purpose of its existence was to foster crime, foster a negative overall connotation for that area. Keep in mind, the city has done absolutely nothing with that for as long as I could remember, and like I said, I literally have lived over there well over 40 years. So I would see it all the time, all the time. I went to St. Rita's, right across the street. I would see it. I would walk and do all these type of things, and I would continuously see it. So we decided, took about 8 months, I guess, that let's make this special. Now, I've got a little bit of that anarchist behavior as well. So for me, you guys, I got to tell you, in my life, this is truly one fucking complete circle. Okay? For me to be here right now, I mean, my family would look at me and say, you are out of your mind. And they have a number of times. And so what we started to do was look at some of the things that we can do. And one of the things we could do that would impress a sense of ownership into the group was just to beautify it, to make small little changes. We didn't want to put up the skyscraper. We didn't want to put the living quarters up on top of any garage. You guys, we wanted to put benches and planters in an area that didn't have them. All right? Big safety issue, right? Now, this story is not only about benches, nor is it about planters. Because there are people that call it their gathering place, their little place where they hang out. So this story is really about them and about the residents of southeastern San Diego. Because what these folks used to sit on, milk crates, turned upside down grocery carts, and they've grown to accept it. And so when we started to go through this process, the pushback we got from the folks that hung in that area, because nobody trusted them and nobody trusted us, Why are you doing this? Why are you trying to improve this area? Are you going to kick us out? And so the process began. What we did is we started to garner support, not only from the residents in the immediate area, but also the folks that use this regularly. And they became a part of the solution. They came to a couple of charrettes that we had. The charrettes that we put on were attended by 40 to 50 people, which is huge for that community. And so what we started to do, we partnered with Home Depot. I got to give Home Depot their props, because what they did is they came in and they built these for us. They built 2 of these and 3 of the planters. And they look marvelous, as you could see. So I'm sort of watching this whole social experiment, because you got to keep in mind that everybody that works with us are volunteers. So I've got some very good volunteers, and then I get a chance to sit back and watch this growing, because even though we do all of these projects, you guys, the point is that this is civic engagement and it's capacity building. People in my age group that have been there, done that, need to start turning the mic over to you guys. And so what we were doing, my role in this whole concept was to get all these people together. And then I became more of a referee, right? Because I've got some people that just loves to team build and loves to have people working together on one side, and literally they're sitting on this side of the room. And then I've got somebody on this side that wants to burn the damn place up. Let's do this. If we're going to do it, let's do it. You've heard her already say there's no negotiation. So I'm sitting here, and I'm right in the middle of these guys, and I don't want to obstruct their creativity or their energy or anything like that. So I'm holding space for all of this, and I'm watching this happen. Meanwhile, I've got a nonprofit to run, right? And this is costing money, because the city put absolutely nothing involved in this. It was all driven by the residents. And so we started to build it, and then we started to go through the permitting process. And a couple of us knew we were going to be rubbing up against policies that did not exist. But we said, shit, let's do this anyway. Let's see how far we can take this. So we started to move forward and move forward and move forward, and I'm going to speed it up a little bit. And then all of a sudden, we started to work with the city a little bit, and then we found out even reps from our own council district wasn't sure of the process that we had to go through. Keep in mind, you guys, we're talking about 2 benches and 3 planners, okay? If there was a way I could sit and mention or to evaluate how much money they've already spent on this, it would be laughable. So we started going through the process, and then at some point in time, we weren't getting responses from the mayor's office. We just weren't getting responses, and so our date for Better Block was coming up, which was a couple weeks ago, maybe a month or so ago, the 17th. And we said, you know what? I wonder what will happen if we leave those benches there. Surely it is not going to be a huge issue. It beautifies the community. The city hasn't done anything on that block in decades. The people up there like it. We're giving dignity to them. We're giving them a sense of ownership. So we've kept those up for a couple of weeks. And again, I live right around the corner from it. So what I started to notice are the people that were up there in the past, you know, they're transient folks. They weren't all of a sudden drinking, right? The 1 or 2% of the drug dealers were out there. The 1 or 2% of the drug dealers. I'm almost done. The 1 or 2% of the drug dealers, they were much more discreet, and the guys there were sweeping up the place. They were keeping it up. I mean, I'd never seen it so clean in my entire life, and that is no exaggeration. And so we're thinking everything's fine. I open up the mail on a Friday, and all of a sudden I get a code compliance violation. We need to immediately move Well, that's the way I read the first one. Immediately remove the planters and benches. So we set up this big event a couple of weeks ago, and we're all ready to remove these things and then start on our path to fix the real problem. And then one of our residents, who happens to be an attorney, said, "Don't touch those. You not only need a permit to put these up and to leave them, my friend, you need a permit to remove them." And so that was, for me, was like the straw that broke the camel's back. You know, so we postponed it. A couple of us went down and talked to the code compliance folks, and it was no negotiation whatsoever. It was not about, they would not give us an extension. They started with their little mantra about what they needed to do because what we proposed did not fit in their boxes. They do not have a policy. So they were force-fitting all of this stuff. So we sat back, we regrouped, and we decided to do a couple of things. One is that we are going to remove these benches. I have already found some great locations for them at local schools. Hold on, it's not the end of the story. Because there's a bigger target here as well. I think the fact that when the folks that are in this room, and you guys know who you are, we're doing something that very few communities and very few residents have ever done over there. And that is, we're sticking with something because there's something called, which I love to call our group, disruptive innovators. Right? We have found something that is not only wrong, but it is unjust. We started to look into the permitting process. It's going to cost us approximately $30,000 to $40,000. For how many benches? And how many planters? Okay, those are the numbers you got to remember. We're not talking about a freeway overpass. Okay? We're basically talking about simple kind of additions to a community that needs pride, that needs ownership, that needs some love. And so what this is spun off in doing is we're going to crowdfund and get as much money as we can to push these permitting processes through, document it, and make a flow chart for it. And then we're going to, at some point, I'm sure, join with Xavier's group, because we've met with a bunch of residents all over the city that has done this and have had similar problems. The mayor did not know what they were biting into when they decided to order us to remove this. Some of you have been on Facebook. You see the kind of responses we are getting. It took me by surprise. It humbled me. I'm sitting here looking, thinking about it. If this can be a citywide initiative to get a policy in to allow residents and communities to improve their own community, that would be awesome. And so I'm talking about a policy that won't take $40,000 from a community that definitely cannot afford it. There's been inconsistencies in the present policy. No offense to the people in PB, but I'm telling you, we wanted to put a mural in our crosswalks and we couldn't do it. They sent me the policy, but other people in the community are doing it in other parts of the community. Why can't we? So all of these things are starting to flush out. So this is not the end of the battle, whoever said boo back there. I mean, if you knew our team, you would know this is only the beginning. Because when we get to the end of this road, in about 6 months to maybe a year, we're going to have a fucking policy that's fair, that's transparent, and that's equitable. That I guarantee.